Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Foster? Here. Mayor Newhart?
Here.
Trustee Calora?
Here.
Trustee McKnight?
Here.
Stephen Gaba?
Present.
Trustee Cheney is absent.
I just want to make a couple announcements. One is this coming Wednesday is June 19th. And it's also called Emancipation Day, and it commemorates the final end of slavery in the United States. Although the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1862, it was not until 1865 that true emancipation occurred. And so it has become a federal holiday. Our offices are closed. And, it's I think, a great learning experience or moment for everyone to look it up and to understand and to know more about why this is important in our history. And then the second thing I wanted to say is that the village of Warwick, as the temperatures are rising, we are a cooling center. So during our work day, which is, the hours are 8:30 to 4. We are open to the public if they need to be in an air-conditioned space for any period of time. And we will treat you nicely. So you can pay your taxes and your water bill. So may I have a motion to accept the minutes of May 20th, 2024 and June 3rd, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And a motion to accept reports, May 2024, Clerk's Office, Justice Department, Planning Department, Building Department, and Department of Public Works.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And may I have a motion for authorization to pay all approved and audited claims in the amount of $257,594.71.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And we have a police report. Chief.
Okay, so going along with my new format of bringing the report that I did at the town board meeting, they kind of overlap, so if I repeat myself on anything, I apologize. The last month we talked about the armed robbery investigation at the Sunoco station. That is ongoing. So our detectives are working hard on some good solid leads, but again, if we can get any information from the public, it's always appreciated. So not everything I'm reporting on has to do with the village, but has to do with the police department.
That's fine.
If that's okay with you guys?
Yes.
On May 23rd, the Greenwood Lake area was hit pretty hard with the severe spring storm. I'll give you a quick overview. The Warwick and Greenwood Lake Police Departments established almost immediately a unified command system. Chief Iron and I set up a command post at the Greenwood Lake Police Station. We brought in the Orange County Emergency Services Mobile Command Unit and their Mobile Dispatching Unit. So any calls that were storm related, we were dispatching right out of the back of their station, leaving both his station and my station to dispatch the normal calls for that Thursday. The command post was staffed with local, county, and state officials, as well as Orange and Rockland and the Green Lake School Superintendent. I'm waiting for a full assessment from Orange and Rockland on how many utility poles and transformers they replaced, but that evening they were shipping in tractor trailer loads of both.
Wow.
That's give you an idea of the damage. Give you an idea of the agencies that responded on the police side. It was Warwick, Greenwood Lake, the Sheriff's Office, the New York State Police. On the fire side, Greenwood Lake, Monroe, Warwick, Chester, Tuxedo, South Golden Grove, Pine Island, Woodbury, Cromner Valley, which is in the town of Newburgh, Salisbury Mills, Johnson, and Sloatsburg. Most of them came down with UTVs to access areas that we could not get to other than walking. EMS was Greenwood Lake, Warwick, West Milford, and Monroe. DPW was Warwick, Orange County, Greenwood Lake, and then the next day I believe they had town of Monroe as well. So that was that response. On May 21st, we had our first coffee with a cop over at Cafe Dolce.
I'm going to just back up a little bit.
Sure.
No one was hurt.
Nobody was hurt.
Yeah.
That's the miracle in all of it.
Yeah.
I don't have an idea of how many trees came down, but I'm gonna say probably over 1,000 between both storms.
Wow, wow.
It's, the devastation over there was incredible. But yeah, nobody was hurt in that storm.
That's amazing.
Were they confirmed to be straight line winds?
That's, I believe, what the National Weather Service is staying with, because there's no other indications of any type of rotation. And if you look where it looks like it began, we lost treetops and the tops of utility poles.
Yeah,
It went across the lake to the east side of the lake, and everything was uprooted.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
it looks like it came down and then went back up. Like I said, we had our first coffee with a cop at Cafe Dolce. The mayor was there, we appreciate that, Mary. I think it was a success. We'll be having certainly a few more of those. We held a car seat safety check on Sunday, June 2nd at Price Chopper. That was, again, well attended, but that's a constant work in progress. If anyone wants their child safety seat checked, just call the station, make an appointment, and our technicians will gladly do that. They go through a 40-hour initial training. You wouldn't think it takes 40 hours to learn how to put a car seat in properly,
I believe
but
it.
I believe it because I remember.
yeah, I didn't realize my kids may not have been as safe as I thought they were,
Yeah.
but I did. But it's well worth it. They have to do ongoing continued training each year to maintain their certification. But they'll look at the recall list when you bring the seat, and if there's anybody who truly cannot afford a seat, we do provide them to the grant that we get.
That's wonderful.
We received 2 grants, one for $100,000 for equipment purchases and upgrades, one for $189,000 for technology upgrades. So we're looking into a lot of stuff that we can spend that on to enhance the service we're providing. Tomorrow we're gonna be doing interviews to promote 2 new sergeants, so we're excited about that. I talked about the Junior Police Academy last month. We're still taking registrations. It's starting to fill up, but there's always room. We started the process for National Night Out.
Can you
Actually
remind
started
us,
with,
oh, sorry, can you
Yes.
remind us of the age range for that, again, just for folks
Sure.
watching?
10 to 15.
Yep.
And it's any school district in the town, so that's Greenwood Lake, Florida, and the Warwick School District. So all are welcome. We hold it at the high school, generally in their criminal justice room, which fits very well. So they're kind of partnered with us on this venture.
And is there a second deadline for the August session, or it's the same?
I think we'll keep taking them till we fill.
Okay, all right.
So National Night Out is August 6th. We got the groundwork out of the way in February and March, which was great, thanks to Brandon and Jen. So again, that's 5 to 8. Last year, we're estimating we probably had about 2,500 people, between 2,000 and 2,500. So it's not often that the police department can invite the entire community to a barbecue, but a fun night. So I would take us up on it. We'll have the Black Dirt Bandits playing again, the Touch a Truck, the different organizations from the village and the town. So it's a good night. So hopefully the weather holds out for us. We're trying to get the word out when there's community events where there's going to be detours or road closures, more on our social media site, but again, we're well into the season. Most of them are in the village, so we just want people to be prepared for those events. Next week is the Warwick Fire Department Carnival with the fireworks on Saturday night, so that's a heavy traffic night as well. So we'll try to get the word out on our social media site, but maybe, the village could share it when they see that we're doing it, or if we see you're putting something out, we'll try to share it as well, just to give people a heads up so they're not so surprised when they come up on a detour or it delays them or angers them.
Sure.
So, I think that's all I got.
Well, I want to make a comment that you guys did a remarkable job for the Pride event and parade, and a parade of that size that meanders through the village definitely has logistics that are hard, and you did it wonderfully and rather seamlessly. So
It was It was great, a great day for it, the weather was good, it was a great event,
Yeah.
as always, and we're always happy when they end with nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
But the good times.
Yeah. Good. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So Chief, it's a nice night. Why don't you go and enjoy it?
I wish I could
Well,
do it for you.
does the chief know about the dog park? Because there's the canine service theme to it. So maybe we'll just email you about it.
So Joe Sanzone is working on an Eagle Scout Award project, and it is a dog park in Memorial Park.
Okay.
And it's nicely designed. We're working with him because the cost of the fencing is pretty high, but you know, he's doing all the other pieces, and he's doing fundraising through Bricks, and he's right on top of it. I mean, he's a really great young man who is interested maybe in veterinarian science, so this kind of fits into his trajectory. But it's where it is in the park is as you come in. You know where DPW is. To the, if you're looking at DPW from Memorial Park Drive, to the right is kind of an open space. It's tucked behind mechanical rubber, and so it's a really lovely green space. And so we're going to have parking and of course a pathway that leads to it. So it's I think it's going to be a really nice project. So.
But it's gonna have like a little canine veteran and service
That's
dog,
cool. Very
like
cool.
memorial feature, you know, so.
Yeah.
If you want support from our canine unit, you know, reach out, we'll gladly support them.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Get,
you.
more of a community effort there.
Who should he contact?
If he calls the station, Officer Halsey is our canine coordinator.
Okay.
Or he can ask for any supervisor. Or me, since I just put the offer out.
Okay. Okay. So I'm sure you'll be hearing from him.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thanks,
Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay. And we have a bid opening for the electrical power supply. Yahoo!
Woohoo! Do you want me to just go right into opening the bids
Yes.
or read the bid notice?
Well, why don't you read the
During
bid
meeting?
notice? I
Okay.
think that would be.
All right.
clarifying.
Please take note that the Village of Warwick is seeking proposals for the supply of electrical power. Sealed proposals marked electrical power supply proposals 2426 on the outside of the mailing envelope must be submitted to the village clerk at 77 Main Street, Warwick, New York, on or before June 17, 2024 at 4 p.m. That evening, all bids will be opened and publicly read aloud at the village board meeting, which begins at 7:30 p.m. Vendors should be aware that there could be initial administrative delay of up to a month for the utility to change over accounts. A listing of the Village of Warwick, Orange, and Rockland account numbers are available at the village clerk's office. The vendor submitting an RFP is responsible for obtaining historical data usage. Vendors must submit via email to clerk@villageofwarwick.org on a form written by the vendor a request for historical data usage. The vendor is responsible for submitting this form to the utility and acquiring the historical data usage. Specifications for the bid may be found on the Village of Warwick's website, www.villageofwarwick.org, or by emailing the village clerk's office at clerk@villageofwarwick.org. The village clerk may be contacted by email at clerk@villageofwarwick.org or by phone 845-986-2031, extension 102. Questions are to be directed in writing to the village clerk at the above address and phone number. All questions must be received by June 12, 2025.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the first bid that we received was from M&R Energy Resources. They bid out to different energy providers. So they received quotes from Constellation Energy, Direct Energy, and Smartest Energy, and also NG, formerly Suez. And they are proposing that Constellation Energy is the lowest bidder. For a 12-month fixed price per kilowatt hour for regular power is 0.08340. 100% green power, 0.08620. 50% green power, 0.08480. And the green power source is National Wind.
Can you read those again? I only
Absolutely.
caught-
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure, and this is just for 12 months, so we had them also fill out what they would provide for 24 months, and also 16 is provided by M&R. So for 12 months, the regular power is 0.08340. For 100% green power, 0.08620. And for 50% green power, 0.08480.
0.08480?
Yes.
Thanks.
Would you like the 16-month also, and then the 24?
I'm sorry, can we go over these numbers again? I
Of
just want to
course.
capture, maybe I can just look at
Yeah.
that for a second. This is the lowest
Out of,
bid,
out
and
of
this is
the,
their 12/24.
that's right.
Okay.
There are also 16-month, which they didn't list here on this particular form.
Okay. What is the lowest price of all terms available?
So I think
That's
the lowest
16?
terms of all terms available, so they went from, 12, 16, and 24, so I believe these are the 16-month terms. So for regular power, it's this amount,
So 16 is somehow the,
cheapest.
this is 24.
Are you gonna read us the 16?
Yes.
Okay. And do we happen
Hold
to
on a
know
second,
the cost difference implications writ large?
Between the current bid, the current amount we're paying per kilowatt hour, we're currently paying 0.10565 per kilowatt hour.
0.10?
Correct.
So this is, so all of these are lower than what we're currently paying?
Correct.
0.10, what was the number again?
0.10565.
That's interesting. So on the 12-month,
The-
all of those options represent a savings over what we currently have, but you said the 16-month is actually cheaper than the 12-month.
Yes. Do you want me to read the 12-month, 16-month, and 24-month, so we have them all? Okay.
Yeah.
So the regular energy for Constellation is 0.08340. This is 12 months I'm reading.
08, say that again. I'm sorry.
340.
340, okay. Thank you.
For 100% green power, the price is 0.08620. And for 50% green power, it's 0.08480. And for 16 months, the regular power is 0.08312. For 100% green power, 0.08602. And for 50%, 0.08457. And for 24 months, regular power is 0.08843.
0.08843,
43.
thank you.
For 100% green power, it's 0.09152. And for 50% green power, it's 0.08998. So those are the prices from Constellation for 12, 16, and 24 months.
How many kilowatt hours do we know how many kilowatt hours we spent last year?
Give me 1 minute.
Yeah. Interested in knowing the cost difference.
Only M&R responded, no other
We also have Northeastern Power. I'm just waiting for a minute.
Oh, do you want to go through that while
And
Thompson?
just in case anyone is wondering why we're all scrambling, it's because we can't see the numbers until literally
Correct.
right now, so there's no time to prepare. 350,000 199 kilowatt hours.
Was that 351?
350,199.
Okay.
So that first one was M&R. Now we're, how many did we get total?
We have 2 responses
Okay.
from M&R and Northeastern.
Okay.
But M&R requests proposals from other companies, so they requested quotes from 4 different companies.
Right, so they kind of bid it.
Yeah, okay. Great, Constellation.
I'll go ahead and open Northeastern's.
Yep, yes.
Okay. All right, so they submitted a proposal for 12 months, 24 months. For just the 12 months and the 24 months. So the fixed price per kilowatt hour for 12-month period for regular power is 0.08939. For 100% green power, it's 0.11199. And for 50% green power, it's 0.10099. And the green power source is NYEDP. And for 24 months, the fixed price for regular power is 0.09329. 100% green power, 0.11659. 50% green power, 0.10499. With the same green power source of NYEDP. And the lowest price of all terms available would be the fixed price kilowatt hour for the 12-month period. If you'd like to see that.
So to put it in perspective, last year we spent, for 350,199 kilowatt hours, we spent $36,998. So for 37,000 was the electric cost last year. So every one of these for the first one is below that.
Mm-hmm.
The one with 12, 24, and 16.
It's,
And the difference, so if you look at this, so if, with the first one, out of the 12, 24, and 16-month options, the 16-month had the lowest. And of that, to put it into real terms here, with the regular energy for 16-month term is $29,108. For 100% green is $30,124, so nearly $1,000 more per year. And then 50% green is $29,616, so nearly $500 more than regular. So the swing is between $500 and $1,000.
but considering we're paying less than prior years, I mean, I'm impressed that it's as close as it is. I mean, in some ways, personally, I think it's incentive to go with a green, a green power.
Mhm. I mean, not to mention that would count towards the programs that we are working for NYSERDA.
So that introduces additional savings. Another question, I guess, is there are other energy savings actions that we're in the process of taking this year, right?
Yeah.
So,
So if you recall, we did a GHG inventory for government operations, and then a climate action plan, looking at ways to reduce it. This is one possible way. I just want to triple check the numbers here. So I have, give me 1 second, please.
Looks like, yeah, if
don't
we
know
use
why.
the same exact kilowatt hours at our current rate, that would be about $37,000 this year. And if we go 100% green with M&R Constellation, that's about $30,000, assuming we use the exact same kilowatt hours. So that represents about a $6,000 savings to the village, not counting.
Can you run those numbers by me again?
So what I have is, if we assume that we spend 350,199 kilowatt hours again, then, and at our current rate, that would have been $36,998.52. If we went with the regular, that's $29,108.54. And this is for the 16-month. If we went 100% green, it's $30,124.12. And if we go 50% green, it's $29,616.33.
That's correct.
So we would save about $7,000, not if we went 100% green through M&R, if we don't do any other,
Yeah.
any energy reduction. I'm in favor of doing that because the difference in cost between the 100% green and the lowest price alternative is $1,000.15. $1,015.
Across the year.
$1,000.15.
Across the entire year,
$1,015.
Yeah.
I can't say that.
So
Yeah,
are
over
we-
the whole year.
So are we looking at how long a period of time?
Oh, that's for 16. Oh, so I
Yeah,
didn't do it by
I was looking at the
16.
16 myself,
Yeah.
but that seemed to,
That's just for the year, because
Right.
I just assumed $350,000. I mean, 350,199 kilowatt hours for the year.
It
So that's
also
only
ma-
12 months.
It also makes me wonder about the 24-month option if it is lower than the current rate.
Well, because what's going to happen in 16 months? Do we know anything about? It seems like we should go with the, because. The difference in cost is $2,000 to do it for per year. The 24-month, 100% green. So that represents
No, I'm
about
giving you
a-
the kilowatt hours per year which is what I was able to gather. That was kilowatt hours per year, not over the term of 16 months.
I know.
Oh, I misheard you then.
No, yeah, I'm just saying if we did the 24-month contract, the difference in price is about $2,000 for the year, for 12 months. So that would be about, so it's a $1,900 difference. But it does still represent a savings of $5,000 over a 12-month period. So that would still be, I guess that would be a $10,000, if, assuming the rates would be the same.
Hold on a second. This is why I wish we had time to prepare, because
Do you want my spreadsheet?
no, I'm looking at the energy usage from years prior.
Michael, do you need to vote on this tonight?
we
do.
do,
Well, I see it's on the agenda.
Yeah.
I mean, do you need
We
to?
actually do.
we do, because
Because they only hold the.
they only
rates
hold the dates for
change.
so
Well,
short
that's
a
what it
window.
is. You gotta do your math now.
Yeah.
Well, so if we do the 24 months, then we get a $5,000 savings for the 12-month period. And then if we do the 16-month, we have a 7,000 savings for the 12-month period, just about. But we don't know what is gonna happen with energy. But there's a lot of incentives and other financial like federal funding that's going to go into play over the course of the next year or two, which may further support, but we also don't know what's gonna happen with like the economy and. But either way, it seems like we're saving money over what we're doing right now. Or I mean,
You know
I
what,
don't
there
know
may
if
be,
the answer is savings.
there's another set of meters, so it's probably gonna be far higher than 350,000. Hang on a second.
Raina, did you say the 16-month option was the cheapest rate?
That's what, so the way our form reads is it has in order to provide the pricing, 12 months, 24 months, lowest price of all terms available, which is the 16-month.
You'd think that the 2 years would be the cheapest, because they lock you in for the 2 years.
Do you want to pass that to Steve so he can see?
but then there's uncertainty, like their pricing could change.
So maybe the 16 months is
like
kind of
that.
midway for both the buyer and the seller.
Yeah.
Mhm,
that's what
but
it
it's-
seems to be.
Yeah, but it's also cheaper than the 12-month. So they secure you for a longer period of time, but they
That's the
also don't run the
trade-off.
risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carly, can you check, I just shared on the SharePoint thing, the spreadsheet, the O&R spreadsheet for FY 22-23. I want to get your thoughts if I'm reading this right. We know you have it, I'll show you what I was going through.
Okay.
It says what it says. Not sure why that would be the case, but.
So Carly, do you see the total tab where it says total?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was looking originally at column
N.
J,
Okay.
the usage kilowatt, but then there's column D. Which is also usage kilowatt. It's terribly confusing.
Well, there's amount. There's column B, which matches column J.
Well, B is,
I bet you.
B is the dollar amount.
But so usage kilowatt.
Oh, you're saying
J-
it matches.
It matches, and also our price was a cent. Why, right? 0.10565.
Yes, that's our current.
Oy.
I'm gonna make a. I'm not gonna mess with your spreadsheet too much. I'm just gonna.
No, you can. This was a just an output of the O&R data. So you're saying the dollar amount in B matches J, which doesn't make any sense. So really, we should be counting column D, which in that case would be 1.5 million kilowatt hours, which actually makes a little bit more sense.
Is that how much we use? Like, I mean, sorry. What is the equivalent? It might make sense to.
Which would change everything.
But at the end of the day, the price is less.
It still is less. It still is less. Just in
It's a
greater
lot
amount.
less, though.
Yeah.
The savings is a lot. Is
This
going to
makes
be a
more
lot
sense.
higher.
This is saying
It's a lot
160,000 instead of 36. That makes way more sense.
519 487. Because then that means that the savings would be like $30,000 instead of. Does that sound right to you? How much did we spend on electricity last year? Was it $160,000?
$160,000.
Oh, okay, so if we
But
did.
that's if we're reading this right, because the column of kilowatt hours was actually the amount. All right, so then if we say it's 160,000, which makes more sense given all the sewage pumps and everything running all the time.
Yeah.
Then the savings is $30,000 to the village for 12-month period, if we go with the 16-month.
16-month, 100% green.
100% green, yeah. And then if we did 24 months, 100% green, the savings is about $20,000 instead of $30,000.
So, yeah,
For
so
1 year.
what that equals then, the savings of the, for regular is 34,234. For 100% green is 29,827, and 50% green is 32,000.
What do, so
I mean-
who's providing us with the electrical now?
M&R.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, Constellation also. M&R was the same process, same bid. Mhm.
So this actually, there's no scenario in which we would still be proceeding on the 0.105.
Correct, we would not be proceeding with them, we'd be switching companies.
Okay, so, well,
Not switching
M&R,
companies, remaining with the same company, we'd be remaining with Constellation.
right, so there's no scenario, okay, there's no scenario in which we would be continuing on the 0.10565. So that $30,000 in savings doesn't exist because the cost of energy went down, which is great. But, so that means that it would cost us $4,000 extra, which is, let me tell you what the percent difference is if we went 100% green.
As opposed to, so you're not comparing to the last year because apples and oranges, the baseline cost is different.
Yeah,
What you're comparing are the three options right here.
yeah. Yeah, it's,
Oh. What are we receiving now? Regular
Yes.
hour?
Yeah.
Okay.
so it's about a 3%. That's insane. See.
Yeah, 300.
Yeah, it's about a 3% difference. But our costs are still a lot lower. Our energy costs would still be a lot lower this coming year than last year. I'm good. I like that plan. I'm interested in why the cost is higher at the 24-month. Like, is there some kind of market? Like, what kind of market factors are they considering?
I mean,
It's
speculation, I think they know that this is lower, and they think that in a year's time it'll increase. They're trying to find a middle road,
They're not-
It's their
yeah.
best option.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah,
which
the
to me
costs are
makes the
low right
24-month
now.
even more attractive.
Yeah, because we're
It's still a savings from
lower.
last year, the last 2 years. On the tune of $30,000 per year.
Well, that would be about $20,000 less than what we've been paying per year. If we, do we know what we paid the year prior? What rate it was?
Well, that was the rate
It
for the
was a
last 2 years,
2-year
right?
Yep, it was a 2-year contract.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so
Are you
makes
interested in
sense.
the prior contract or no?
No, not if it was the same, yeah. So then that's about a $40,000 difference over the course of the 2 years.
60.
60,
So
right.
30.
30 and 30.
No, because that would be the 24-month contract is more expensive than the 16.
Oh, you're looking 24, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
I feel like the 16-month is a good go, and then
Yeah.
we can hedge our bets.
That's what I feel too.
The 16.
Also
I'm
gives us,
partial
gives
to
us
lock it
some
in 24
flexibility.
months, because it is a lower rate than we've been paying the prior 2 years.
I realize that, but then, what about community aggregate, if that comes down the pike? I mean, that was one of the things that was presented when we were discussing this.
Community choice, yeah, that's true. The village accounts would technically be ineligible, I think, if we,
Yeah.
walked into something else.
Yeah. 16 months
So there's
is
that.
probably the safer, because it's going to take a while to get everything up and going, right?
Yeah. No, I'd feel good about $30,000 savings per year.
Over what we're paying now.
Or-
I feel,
Mhm.
I feel good about it
60
being
or
100%
years.
green. I mean,
And
that's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? So okay, let's talk about what the cost would be on the because the number is very slightly different. It's like for the 12-month, it's a $200 difference over the year. So maybe if we think we're going to go community choice aggregation,
Then do
then we
12
should do the
months.
year instead of 16 months. Because how long do we think it's going to take us to get that going?
You will not be on a community, I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm pretty confident you will not be on a community choice aggregate within 1 year from
Okay.
today.
I
mean, it's
agree
just so
too,
much
yeah.
groundwork.
Especially the next
Okay,
cohort will be
16.
next year.
yeah, there has to be so much outreach and education and,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, and this gives us a good deadline too to work toward. I like that.
So we're gonna go 100% or we're gonna go 50?
I like 100%.
Yeah, so do I.
I kind of am comfortable at 50 because it's not a.
The 50%, it's a,
Jump.
it's the difference in price. It's $2,000
$1,500 yet, or
instead of, yeah, and
1,800.
like with 100 and so the savings. Yeah, I like the 16. I like the 100%.
My sense is that this is the way things are going and that it's going to get even more affordable for 100% green as we move, as things go ahead. And by us making that kind of investment also, I think is part of our leadership,
I'll defer to Tom, of course, but in terms of your climate smart initiative and the grants that you might be looking for, I think you get more bang for your buck with 100% green than 50% green.
Right.
Yeah, I mean the benefit would probably if we get to the next grant and we get $50,000, that's more than that $2,000 difference.
I will,
Yeah.
so
That makes sense.
I think we're pretty close to the 50,000. I was trying to scheme to figure out how do we get to the next level was 100,000. That alone puts us within fighting distance.
Okay.
So
The business
literally by
case is
doing
there.
this, by spending an extra $1,500, $1,600 for the year, could get us a $100,000 grant.
Yeah. And it's non-competitive.
It's non-competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, the other piece of it is, finding ways to reduce our energy, how we use.
Our costs even
our-
further.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
cool.
that's something that we really have to analyze and look at very carefully, especially with our plants, waste treatment and our water.
Well, and once we get the CCA provider on board, that's part of their responsibility is to help us with the energy master planning.
Right.
Raina, do you know this? Will we receive a renewable electricity certification form as part of this? Do you know?
I don't know. I didn't know to ask
Yeah.
that question.
Me neither until now.
If you want to send me an email, I can just
Sure.
ask them.
Yeah.
So just because I'm just filling in the blanks for the motion, you're saying 16 months for the 0.08602 per kilowatt hour
Right.
for 100% green energy?
That's right.
Do we vote on it?
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
It is a motion, so,
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Figuring
what
I
am
would fill it in.
okay, are we
Thank you.
good to move on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Carly, do you want to make this announcement?
We're not ready.
Do you have a pen, John?
Sure. I would like to wait. Hold on. I don't have it in front of me. Make sure I get the language right. Oh, I'll just make a motion to accept the bid to enter.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Just this announcement.
Oh.
Yeah, you're moving.
I was like,
you're
is that Tom?
No, you're moving forward.
I'm sorry.
Stay off my motions.
Yeah.
That's my
So
motion.
funny. All right. So this is a really exciting development for the village of Warwick, and one of the values actually of having a master plan, right? Because the Veterans Memorial Park Master Plan has outlined some of the key features that we're looking to add to Veterans Memorial Park, and one of those things is a dog park. And so Joe Sanzone is making this his Eagle Scout project, and we're very grateful to him for that. This is exciting. So coming soon, a new dog park at Veterans Memorial Park. You can be part of its dedication to our military and law enforcement canines and their handlers. So it will be a canine veteran memorial dog park. And Joe, not the village, is asking for monetary donations to participate. You can buy a brick, and you can use this to memorialize a loved pet, handler, veteran, family name, promote your business. And that announcement is on the village's social media. I think it's also on the village's webpage. And I'm not sure exactly what the time frame of this is. But you can also send, there's a Venmo there, but you can also send checks and cash to 25 Mountaintop Drive, Warwick, New York, 10990. And please make your checks out to Troop 38. You can also email joeysandzone1@gmail.com for the Buy a Brick program. So that's pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else I should say about that?
No, it's all
Okay.
good, yeah. Oh, well, you could say just tomorrow night we have the stakeholders meeting, but.
Oh,
you
yeah.
wanna Just throw that in,
Yeah, that's.
or you wanna wait till the end?
We do have a stakeholder advisory group meeting for Veterans Memorial Park master planning process at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow at the Village Hall as well.
Okay, thank you. So, under discussions this evening, we have the draft short-term rental code, and we received a draft from our council, from Steve. And let's get to it.
Can I walk you through the?
You sure can.
All right, the first page, there's no changes. Second page, there's no changes. Oh, excuse me, under owner occupied there is, instead of saying 6 consecutive months, it now says that you have to, the owner or the registered agent has to reside in the proposed short-term rental property for not less than a total of 6 months in the calendar year. They don't have to be consecutive.
Well, Steve, I'm looking at the draft of the agenda. It looks like on page 1, there is something
Yeah,
defining
agent.
agent.
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
Agent,
Agent as a
under
term,
definition?
as a
But that's
definition.
carried over.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
That was changed before.
Okay.
okay, that's fine.
The third page, we changed, this is the language I worked on that Carly dictated. So registered resident agent now is an agent of the property owner who is able to respond and attend at the short-term rental property within at least 30 minutes of being notified of the need to do so, and is identified as the owner's registered agent. I think we should take out resident from the
I agree.
title then, but registered agent in short-term rental permit application. So that's what you wanted. Okay. Down on the bottom under 115 sub 3, the language in sub 3 regarding only owner-occupied properties may be used for short-term rentals has been changed in regard to properties in the central business zone. And it now reflects the change that we made to registered agent, provided however that the properties provided however that properties located in the central business zone used for short-term rentals need not be owner-occupied if the registered agent is able to respond and attend at the short-term rental property within at least 30 minutes of being notified of the need to do so. So we got rid of that language that said that you have to resign. On page 4 is where I ran into some problems. This is particularly in regard to subparagraph number 4 there and the off-street parking. And there were two problems that I encountered in regard to this. The first one, and maybe I just misheard, but the trustees were quoting me what I thought was section 115-4 and 115-5, and I can't find those sections in the zoning code. In fact, this is going to be chapter 115. I must have heard the numbers wrong or something, because I just can't find it. What I can find in regard to bed and breakfasts is code section 145-20.2. And what 145-20.2 says in regard to bed and breakfasts is parking for the primary residence shall be in accordance with the Village of Warwick zoning law. Parking for the bed and breakfast use shall be one off-street space per guest in addition to the primary use. No parking shall be allowed in front of the existing building line. Parking provided shall be that of asphalt or other material in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. Creation of new parking within 15 feet of a property in residential use is prohibited, and use of existing parking may be utilized to satisfy the requirements of this paragraph. And just by the way, in terms of main uses, for single-family homes, the required parking is two per dwelling unit. That's under the schedule of use and parking space requirements in the code. So, just referencing the code section, which I know is what you'd said you were interested in, I think is a problem in terms of treating short-term rental properties as bed and breakfasts, because they're different. Particularly things like saying that you can't park in the front. Well, a lot of these are going to be driveways. People are going to park in the front of the building. So you clearly don't want that included. And what's more, the theory behind the parking for bed and breakfasts is there's going to be owner occupants who are going to be there while the bed and breakfast is operating. And so the code says you have to have parking for those people, the owners, the hosts. And in addition to that, you need to have a space for the additional bedrooms, because a lot of people are going to come, they're going to drive their car, they're going to stay there. And that works fine for bed and breakfasts. Not so much for the short-term rental, unless the owner is going to be present when the renters come. And I don't know that that's going to happen all that often. You don't need, if you're counting the bedrooms, you don't need to have the required number for the owners plus one for every additional bedroom, because the owners aren't going to be there. So what you probably want is one for every bedroom, because
So,
you may have multiple people coming in cars to do it. If you have two,
So if it's a 2-bedroom, then you would have 2 spots.
which is what's required for a single-family residence.
Right.
so Steve, what I
think it was
what I was
page
referring to last
6.
time was 145-70, Article 7, parking and loading, off-street parking and loading requirements.
Yes, that's this. That's where the table appears. But I didn't hear that. I heard 115-4 or 115-5, so I was confused.
There's
Overnight parking, 'cause
there's also table 6.
135-16, look that up.
Let me see what this is. I didn't write it down when we were talking.
I don't know right now. I don't know what that is.
No, then we also have the no parking between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. from April 1st to November 1st for all night
That's a
parking.
good
That's in our
catch.
code too, the 135-16B. So I don't know if that should be referenced so that property owners are aware of that they'll be ticketed if they park on the street.
Yeah, but we're talking about off-street parking now.
Oh,
not
okay,
on-street
off-street,
parking.
okay, got it.
Are you in the zoning code or in?
Zoning code.
So section 145-121 relates to hotels and motels,
Yes.
which is the closest. We don't have anything that.
I didn't
otherwise
see any
relates to-
reference for parking under that section, and there's no hotels listed in the table of, there is, however, lodging houses in the schedule of uses and parking,
Yeah, it says 1 per bedroom.
which is what I'm recommending.
Is this the table? That table?
Wow, you have one Oprah screen.
I know, I took out all the blue light.
Table of
He said
parking.
ochre.
No.
Oh,
Oh, ochre, pardon.
ochre,
Yes.
yeah.
Ochre is a food.
Table
Yeah,
stakes.
ochre would be great. Ochre. I don't know what section that is. What section of the code is that?
I was trying to figure it out. It's page 68. Yours is on page 123.
Yeah, but my section is 145-70, parking and loading.
Yeah, that's the one I'm on too.
Yeah, she may be somewhere else. I'm not sure.
It's page one. Oh, were you using the link to the code from Ecode 360?
Yeah.
That takes us to the 2009 code, I believe.
Well, you don't seem to have one on your website that takes you to zoning, so.
We do.
We do have a link that takes us to zoning. That's what this is. Here.
Click the link, it didn't take me to zoning.
It's here, right here, village. Well, there's the code of the Village of Warwick. And then below it is
Not the
Village of
easiest to
Warwick
navigate.
zoning. And there's
It's
that,
supposed to be a
that's
quick
what
read,
I'm
right?
in, yeah.
Listen, I'll be happy to change it to whatever it is you trustees would like,
Yeah,
but
I think
Only
keep
go
it
up
simple.
higher.
I think one parking spot per bedroom makes sense.
And I think the main objective is for the parking to not have an impact on a residential neighborhood.
Well,
So I think that covers both of those.
well, the reason that we had proposed cross-referencing to the zoning code was so that we don't end up with problems later on if we update the zoning code and then forget to update this, and then people
Right.
are like,
Well,
your code isn't.
if, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if you had a particular section in the table of parking regulations, or another section in the code that specifically dealt with short-term rentals, it would make sense to cross-reference to it, to keep your table of uses and bulk requirements consistent with the use you're listing, but you don't. You have bed and breakfast listed separately, you have hotels listed separately, and they're just not the same thing as a short-term rental.
This says lodging. The zoning code says lodging.
If you want to treat this as lodging, that would make sense, you could certainly do that.
That's, I mean, that, I'm okay with, it's all same in the end. It's like the ultimate, like, end thing is that you end up with like one spot per dwelling unit. But the value that I saw in cross-referencing the zoning code was to avoid, like, if we change it and then we don't change that, like, it just trickles. So
Well, it
that was
does,
my-
but if, and I don't mean to argue with you however it is you guys want, of course. But if you have a specific parking requirement in mind for short-term rentals, and you write it into your short-term rental section, it's there for everyone to see. If you subsequently change lodging down the road as to what the requirements may be, if you don't come back and change, let's say you change the section number, if you don't come back and change it in your short-term rental, you're gonna have a disconnect there as far as the number of parking spaces. What's more, you may decide that hotels or other lodging uses should have different parking requirements, and unless you have the foresight to say, oh, wait a minute, let's go back and check short-term rentals, do we want that to match up? You may wind up with something that you don't want in terms of imposition. Whereas if you write it right into short-term rental, it's there for everyone to see. Look, if you want to do cross-reference thing, the dangers are not great. I mean, if you want to just do a cross-reference, easy peasy, we can write it in.
Well, we also have the shared parking factor, which I think comes into play. And so that's in our zoning code, and we don't want to be creating, we don't want, if somebody's zoned for a specific use, like I think we want it to all the things that we've come up with over the years, like the shared parking and like,
Yeah.
you know, that it should just be in alignment.
Carly, are you looking at page 123 of the zoning code?
I'm looking at 69.
Look, if you indulge me for a second, if you go to page 123,
Yeah.
it's a schedule of uses and parking space requirements. It's a table,
What's this?
which shows everything from accessory apartment, home occupation, single family lodging houses, 2-family, multifamily. So to be most generic,
You
a
want a
single family
reference?
dwelling is 2 per dwelling unit. 2 spaces per dwelling unit required. And that's, I think, Steve, what you have, right?
No, dwelling unit is different than bedrooms. I would have 1 car per bedroom. If you have 3 bedrooms, you need 3 off-street spaces, or 4, so forth and so on.
I think there's there may be an inconsistency here. Because the table that,
Oh, wait. Oh, I see it.
69, not in the PDF, in the PDF it's page
75 in the PDF, that's all.
70, yeah,
I got
75.
you, I got you. Well, why do we have 2?
What's that section titled? I'm telling you, it might be a different type of development.
I just went up to the table, 68. Zoning districts and zoning districts map. And that's under, oh,
we
maybe
found
that's the
another
traditional
inconsistency.
neighborhood design overlay district. Maybe that's what that is.
Oh, this is exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
TND.
This is so user friendly. Okay, and so then on 120, we should double check what that page 120 something is. Did you say
123
129?
on the PDF.
That's just off-street parking and loading requirements.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's the right page.
Now I don't know what home occupation means.
That's the right table.
Home occupation,
it's
it's like
like- Business.
a lawyer working out of their house.
Psychiatrist,
Right.
Oh, I
therapist,
see, I see.
chiropractor.
Yeah, 123. So that's the right table for us to be referencing.
Yeah, so lodging houses is 1 per sleeping room or unit. Lodging houses. Sort of closest thing we can get at this point to short-term rental, in
But
my
that's,
opinion.
and that's off-street parking.
Yeah.
I just think, is there ever going to be a case in which that number is a mismatch for what the house already has? Like if you're requiring we're saying 2 spaces per dwelling unit? Off-street parking? Are there cases?
You have a driveway, that's like, there you go.
I know, but are there areas of the village where there's not enough? Is there anywhere? I'm
Not
just
that I can
asking.
think of.
I can't think of it.
I mean, we're also trying to discourage people from renting it out to large parties and parties in general, so this kind of supports that too.
The number of parking spaces?
Yeah.
In
Because if
regard to
there's
that-
2,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mary, I didn't mean to-
no, because if you're looking for a place to rent for 10 people, maybe you could think in your head like, oh yeah, we could all squeeze in 3 bedrooms, but there's only 3 parking spots, so it's not going to work.
Yeah, but this is not a max. This is a minimum.
No, but I'm saying just as like what we're trying to sort of discourage is people renting Village of Warwick Airbnbs for a large amount of people.
Barry had asked me to look at the Oklahoma, I forget the name of the town, code in regard to what it is they permit and what they don't. And I took a look at it, and one of the things they say, and how enforceable it is, I'm not sure to be honest with you, is that you can't use short-term rentals for parties. You can only use them for lodging for the people who rent them.
That's
Wanted to write in that
interesting.
requirement, I suppose you could do it. Again, you might have enforceability
Yeah.
issues and so forth.
Well, then
but-
I think I'm not sure if we've really had that issue. I know that that's been an issue in the town of Warwick level because there's been properties that are rented out to weddings, etc.
Right, but I think we talked about this last time, and the village's code, covers like raucous behavior after a certain period of time and garbage and clogging the roadways. And so I don't even know that we need this parking stuff because it's covered by the code. But
People aren't
I get
gonna,
it.
people aren't gonna read the code. They're just gonna read what's.
But is
required.
anybody is there gonna be a situation in which somebody needs to change their parking situation for the home that they bought, so that they might rent it out? Like, so that they might rent it out sometimes while they're on vacation?
Well, the situation that comes to mind, and again, don't know whether it actually exists here or not, is you have an older home, it doesn't have off-street parking. It's just in the business district or what have you, there's no driveway. And it's grandfathered because it's been around for so long, or perhaps they got a variance from the zoning board, whatever it is. And now they want to do a short-term rental. If you don't have a short-term rental parking requirement, which you may or may not want, they don't have to comply with it. Their existing home that doesn't have off-street parking can be used for short-term rentals. Which, again, may or may not be a problem, but you asked for a scenario in which you wouldn't have off-street parking, and that's the one that comes to mind.
Yeah, so they'd already not have that. And I also don't think we want to have a scenario in which somebody paves over a part of their lawn so that they can have more parking, so that, you know, on the off chance someone brings 2 cars to
But-
their Airbnb.
So the last sentence of Steve's second number 4, use of shared parking may be utilized to satisfy these off-street parking requirements. That's kind of a catch-all anyway.
Well, maybe what you want to do is either cross-reference this schedule of uses and parking space requirements, either tie it to single-family dwellings or lodging houses, whatever it is the board feels is more appropriate, and forget about everything that's in here except for that last sentence, allowing the use of shared parking.
Well, and the code allows for shared parking already.
Oh, perhaps you don't need it then.
So then, Steve, maybe that's the refer to that section 140. Hey, what are we doing here? 145-70,
Mm-hmm.
schedule of uses and parking space requirements, and not like whatever that dwelling is and however it's classified. You go to that part of the. you go to
That's
that
their
row of table.
parking requirements, yeah.
Right. So just simply blanket refer to the existing code 145-70, schedule of uses and parking space requirements. Done.
I can do that.
So, again, are these considered lodging houses? Is that what we're,
Well, I think Tom's idea is that if you're a single-family home, then the parking for single-family homes listed in this table will apply. If you're a two-family home, then a two-family home would apply. Multifamily, you're not gonna have them in anyway, because I don't think they're allowed. But, and the
Mixed
same thing
use,
with
you will.
lodging houses. Yeah, you got a point, mixed use would. Are they listed here?
Yep, under multifamily. Multifamily or
Or
mixed
mixed
use.
use, yeah, okay, so that's covered too. So just reference them to the table, say whatever the underlying nature of your building is, that's the off-street parking you have to comply with, and just forget everything else.
Yeah, and you could, I mean, it says that, it talks about the shared parking, like 3 paragraphs up. So if we wanted to make sure they understood that, then I could see, like, also refer to guidance on shared parking and staggered hours of use included in the code, you know, that would be fine. But they have to comply with the code in all ways anyway, so. I'm just not sure, I don't know that this adds value, having this, but I am, you know, I'm not, if folks want it there, then I think it's
I
fine,
think
as long as we're
in
just
9 out of
referencing
10
it.
cases, you're not gonna have an issue with off-street parking. I guess in the 10th case, the scenario I laid out where they don't have any, it might be an issue and they have to get shared parking to satisfy it. But that aside, this is, I don't think gonna be a major issue in your short term.
Well, and I guess at least if we have it in the code, then that means that we have the conversation, so they've at least identified where that would be taking place. So that makes sense to me. I just had to think through that.
All right, so we'll just,
Refer to 145-70.
right, exactly, compress that down into,
that makes sense.
into just the reference over.
Okay.
Let's see. we already talked about the homeowners association change. Then there's some cosmetic, on page 5, I've added a new item 9 and renumbered the rest of them just to say that this was Mary's point, in the application, there should be a statement of the number of, I should say off-street parking, it says street parking, apologize for that. Off-street parking spaces provided for the property and a parking plan to show the location. So it's just gonna be, is our
Okay.
driveway.
That's good.
So Steve, there's 2 things that I think are important also for this section.
This being the application section?
The application set, registration of property for short-term rentals, that's the application section, right, 115-4? First of all is if it's owned by an LLC. And if there were some fines associated with that we would have to prosecute, and we're not requiring the personal information of whoever owns those LLCs, how do I know who they are and how do we know who to?
Well, an LLC is like any corporation, you can only sue the LLC.
So this is something I think the town has experienced where they're, paying attention to what's going on there. They're running into some issues where they're LLCs and they don't know who to go after.
You can only go after, it's corporation. It's the same thing as if it was Inc. LLC is in terms of this process. So if it was 127 Elm Street Corporation, Inc., that's who you'd list as the owner, and that's who the information be provided by, and you couldn't go against the shareholders of 127 who are the officers, Inc., for violations of this. Or maybe the officers if they were directly involved, but that would be criminally, not for financially. And the LLC's in the same boat. It's not an individual who owns it. I don't see a way you could go against the members, Tom, if that's what you're suggesting of the LLC.
So someone could simply come in and just, you don't even have a name.
The name would be, again,
Whatever LLC.
13 Elm Street LLC.
But they'd have to have an owner's agent
They
identified.
don't have to.
They do.
They do based on
that's
our,
the-
They could be,
our new
it says
code.
it's or agent, right? They don't have to have an agent. They could be their own agent.
But does the LLC live on
That's
site?
the issue there.
6
Remember, you
months?
said that there has to be owner occupancy. So
Not in the central
somebody's-
business district.
Yeah, but the agent has to be, but they still, even in the central business district, have to have an agent on site. I mean, it doesn't solve the problem of, suing an LLC, but it does mean that there's a human.
What if the registered agent's an LLC?
Which might well be the case, because you want to have people that are available 24/7.
So now you have
Or an Inc. agent.
Now you have an LLC could be the owner and the resident agent, or one LLC is owner, different LLC is there's an agent. You don't know who is.
Well, a
Who you're dealing
corporation,
with.
because you could have something crop up and say, my corporation will provide the answerability to this property through our multiple employees, 24/7, no longer than 30 minutes wait time.
Is there something in here we say to identify who the owner and agent is?
Well, the owner will be the corporate entity. You're talking about the members of an LLC. That's separate from the entity is the owner. The LLC is the owner. And the LLC or corporation may be the agent. There's nothing that prohibits that.
So
Well-
I might be crossing meetings here, but wasn't Barry, weren't we talking about having an LLC disclosure? Weren't we having kind of a disclosure form, or was that
I think
only
that was
for elected
Elected,
officials
yeah.
and
Yeah.
employees?
right,
It
right,
is-
that was ethics.
It is a good point to bring up the LLCs, because the LLCs are what really are causing the sort of choking of the housing market, because they're the ones that are purchasing homes and flipping them into Airbnbs, and they're also purchasing homes and like jacking up rent prices. So when Carly brings up her points, what are your 4 points? One of them is housing availability and affordability.
safety and building codes, right? Noise and nuisance, garbage parking, right?
Housing inventory.
Housing inventory, and agent to actively engage during rentals.
Did you just do that off the top of your head?
No, I looked at my notes.
I was gonna
It's
say,
like,
wow.
Whoa.
Most properties are probably going to be owned in corporate form, whether it's Inc. or LLC. That way you limit your personal liability in the event that there's a slip and fall or some sort of
Yeah.
claim. So you have to anticipate that that's going to be the case. And with the provisions that you're enacting, saying that you have to have your agent available to answer 24/7 at this short, I think it's possible, very possible, that you're going to see groups, probably in corporate form, come in to fulfill that function. Because, you know, this one's on duty this days a week, and that one's on duty those days a week, and so forth and so on. So what you're talking about, Tom, is very likely to happen. But the ability of the village to, they call it piercing the corporate veil. Getting at the members of an LLC or the shareholders of a corporation, I just don't see a way to do it.
You don't see a way to pierce the corporate veil?
There are circumstances under which you can pierce the corporate veil when a fraud is being committed and the corporation's not really acting in a corporate capacity, things like that. But this would be on the up and up. I mean, this company owns the property. There's nothing fraudulent about that. And this company is providing the agents who look out for the property. I mean, it's not the type of thing where you can say, I don't care that you incorporated or became an LLC, you're personally responsible. I just don't see it.
So for number one, name, mailing address, telephone number, email address of the owner and of the registered agent. I would like to see after that, and if it's an LLC, the acting director, the information of the acting
You
director.
can ask for disclosure. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's what I'm asking for.
Yeah.
Disclosure you shall have.
Thank you.
I feel like we did talk about that, but I can't, like,
So the other thing that and this was a good, I think, call by what the town is doing, is to require, as part of the application, that in their listing with whatever short-term rental site du jour, they put their municipal permit number in the listing.
Oh, that's a really,
I don't know what that means.
So you go to whatever short-term rental website, right? And you pull up Village of Warwick, and you see 10 properties pop up. All 10 should have their permit number in the listing itself. Like, welcome to this charming, beautiful home, whatever, Village of Warwick permit number. So that we can see that if they don't have that in the listing, that they're not registered.
We don't have any power over the websites. You can't force them to
No,
do
but
anything.
well,
You're
No,
talking
it's
about
the-
making the property owner?
The property owner or the agent, when they choose when to list their property. They choose what to put in, they choose what photos to go up. It's all user driven at that point. But by saying that in your listing, we require that you put the permit number, because it gives us a way to spot check against which ones of those are actually registered and had a fire safety inspection, which ones didn't.
That's the short-term rental permit number you're talking about, or are you talking about a different permit?
Yeah, short-term rental permit number. So when they apply for the application and they get approved by the building inspector, they will be given a short-term rental permit number. And so then when they make the posting, they have to list that number.
All right, so we're looking for a statement in the application that if and when they post the listing, they will, to the best of their ability, I mean, you can't force the website, they're probably gonna allow.
No, you
anything.
can't, because they're gonna put a paragraph of describing the home. Like, they all work like that.
All right, well, if you're not worried about it, I'm not worried about it. So, a statement in the application saying that if they post a listing on a website, they will include their short-term rental permit number.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think that's great. I think that's
yeah,
perfect.
and in that handout that Airbnb provided, they said that they have that mechanism now.
And one thought, and I don't know how the board feels about this, but they're always going to put some photos, Usually it's something of the kitchen or whatever. Having something of the exterior, you don't always see, because I think sometimes the owners, they don't want to necessarily disclose it until you rent it from them. But should something be, posted, would help us understand if the address is not disclosed in a listing, a better chance of figuring out what that property is.
We can reach out to the homeowner. You can reach out through the site, the website. And then if they don't respond, we could reach out to Airbnb or whoever it is.
Or we just have a visual and between a lot of people, someone knows what property that is.
I don't know. They might
I don't
have
feel
a
super
reason.
strongly about it, but it's
Yeah.
one way to
I don't
help
know if we can-
with identification of it. I don't know if you can require it, but I would say one of the the front of the property.
Maybe they could send the listing to the village when it's
Well, that's
completed.
that's interesting. But then what if you have someone who's running out all the time? They have to remember just to send something off to the.
No, just when they rent, like when they, the listing. Because that is
There you
always, they don't have to send every
Well,
calendar.
You're gonna have a different listing depending on your calendar.
No. You just have a listing and then you have the dates that are available for the place.
Is this Airbnb?
It's not a
Yeah.
gazillion.
A lot of these have
Exterior.
exterior
photos.
photos.
And I think there's, what are there, like 20 or 30 in the village?
And you can always use like Google Street View.
But you don't always get the address. So the point, the scenario is that there is a listing, it doesn't have a permit number, we check nothing like it that would describe it, it's in our record of listings. It's potentially a rogue listing where they need to get a permit, they need to get the fire inspection, they need to do all that stuff. How do we identify what that property is?
We reach out to the property owner or we reach
And
out
they
to
choose not to
Airbnb.
respond because they know.
We reach out to Airbnb and we flag it. Because they also mentioned, I think maybe that's a conversation with them, with the listing places. But I like the idea of once they have listed it, they send us the listing number.
Yeah.
And that goes into the file.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I'm
the
a
list,
little confused on that. I gotta tell you. So, people own property in the village.
I don't know where that is.
And
though,
they're
right?
going to come to
Maybe that has a
register
picture. I don't know.
to
Where
participate in short-term rental. And they're gonna fill out their application and they're gonna provide it to the village. And the village is going to, if it's appropriate property, approve it as such and issue them a short-term rental number, if not a license, a paper license. And you're gonna know about those people because
Right.
they've come in and they've registered.
right.
So I'm not sure what you gain by making them post their short-term rental number on internet postings. I guess if you went and looked at the internet postings, you could match them up with your short-term rental number.
That's exactly the scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're doing that, what's the additional advantage of now making them also include the address of the property on the posting?
Well, we shouldn't necessarily have to make them put the address out there. That could be, they might not want to do that until someone actually rents, because otherwise the world could see the address, right? But if they put the permit number, it gives us a mechanism to understand, is this already registered or
And,
not?
and we're set with the permit number now, but now you're talking about including an address
No, I said a picture of the
A
building.
picture of the,
or a picture. I mean,
The
how does
exterior.
that help the village? I don't understand.
It helps us identify something that's not registered and understand.
But people
Who
who
needs to
aren't
get the
registered
violation?
with you aren't gonna post the picture anyway, because they're not registered with you. It's only the people who are already registered who are gonna do that. And you can tell them from the short-term rental number.
That's fair. So we're
I mean,
putting
the
the permit
problem you're
number.
gonna have is you look
forget
at
the
short,
picture thing.
you look at the site and there's a whole bunch of properties and they're not registered. They don't have the number up. And now you gotta figure out which ones they are to go and cite them, and that's not gonna be an easy thing to do. I mean, I guess with some sleuthing, you could figure it out, but, the idea of making them post an address or a picture or anything, I don't think gets you any further than what you have.
Okay, that's fine. We got the permit ID number, I think that's.
I think that's
covers
great,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
permit ID number.
Okay,
There's over 1,000 places listed on Airbnb in the town of
In
Warwick.
town of Warwick. Well,
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay, the rest of the changes were just the cosmetic registered agent as opposed to registered residential agent. I think we went over them actually last time.
Well, you had highlighted the completed form must be notarized. Are we still?
Yeah, I should have taken that off. It's gonna be notarized. You determined that that's what you wanted, and that's fine. You got notaries here at Village Hall, so.
So you're taking the highlight off to leave the.
Yeah, that was
Verbiage.
just.
Okay,
put together.
so the other thing that I wanted to talk about is if we look at the violations. This is $1,000 per violation. The town, I believe, is doing $500 per day.
Okay,
Which is interesting because then they send out the violation letter, property owner contacts them, and then it becomes a discussion, negotiation to, okay, you wanna register, get this registered. But, I think $1,000 per violation, a short-term rental property owner could make that in a weekend.
all right, so you wanna change to $500 a day?
That sounds,
I'd like that it's consistent with the towns, so that's,
yeah.
And I think the fines, again, similar to what the towns are, the fine should be set by resolution and not in the actual code. So it gives us the ability to go back and change that without doing a public hearing and changing the code.
we can do
That's
that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you can if you have a provision in here saying that you can.
So let's put one in.
We're gonna have to change the wording to allow that to be set by resolution. Do you want to have the $500 in the code as a start and then, or such other, as the village board may from time to
Yes.
time?
Yeah.
Or you just wanna go resolution and leave it at that?
I'm inclined to say resolution. Makes it a heck of a lot cleaner.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right?
And then lastly, Steve, can you explain to me, looking for the section of, okay, so let's say there is a violation, let's say there's an appeal. When does that go to the village board as opposed to the building inspector? So the building inspector would issue a violation.
The appeals, I thought, were only for denial of a permit. Here you go, 11511 appeals. So if the building inspector denies an application or revokes it, he does it in writing. An applicant may appeal from the denial of the application for a permit to the village board of trustees. Upon receipt of an appeal, the clerk puts it on for the next village board meeting, and then there's a village board meeting to say, here's why you don't qualify for a license.
There's a line there, the tenant will be allowed to occupy the property until the appeal is heard, the finding is issued. Who is the tenant?
The agent?
You are right, sir. That sentence should be deleted. There's no reason to have that in there.
So just take it out, and then, I think it would be better to give more leeway to the board in terms of whether it's a suspension or revocation. I'm guessing that's 115-9. Let me just reread this.
Oh, wait a minute, Tom. I'm wrong. If you look at A on page 9, it says, or revokes a permit for a short-term rental. So it isn't just denial of a permit. It's in the event that he issues a permit and then he revokes it.
Right.
And if he revokes it and the property's rented out, the tenant gets to stay in the property until the appeal is heard and a finding is issued.
And so what if it's just like rotating tenants? And it takes 3 months.
Well, if the permit's revoked, he's not gonna be able to rent it at all after that, if the board upholds the revocation.
So the clarity here needed is that the tenant under the current rental, short-term rental
Agreement,
agreement.
yeah.
Fair enough.
yeah. The tenant under
The existing.
the short-term rental agreement current at the time of the revocation.
Sure. But that's why that sentence in there, because if there's, well, you follow. I'm sorry, you were saying about one
Okay.
115.9.
Yeah, 115.9, what does the process look like from suspending or revoking? Who determines whether it's suspended or revocation? Is it the building inspector who who has that autonomy to decide whether it's suspended or revoked? I think we may be missing a
If
little bit
upon
of,
investigation, the building inspector determines that a violation of this chapter and/or the terms or conditions of a short-term rental permit has occurred on the property for which short-term rental permit has been issued, he shall issue a notice of violation to the owner and shall provide a copy to the village board. Upon receipt of such a notice, the village board will set a date set a date at which the owner shall be heard in regard to the building inspector's findings of violation. Notice of such hearing date shall be mailed to the owner, etc., etc. If it is determined the building inspector,
You're missing 5. Jump.
Yeah.
Did 5 get deleted?
5 must have got deleted, and it shouldn't have been. Because 5 says that the village board will make those determinations.
Yeah.
that's what was confusing me.
Well, you
Okay.
can see it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So 5 is missing. We'll put that back.
Thank you for explaining that to me.
Good eye, Tom.
So then, do we need anything in here? So let's say there's violation per day, right? That's done by resolution. But then the owner or agent comes in for that hearing. Maybe there's a great explanation. What kind of leeway does the board have to take that into consideration and say, okay, that's
The board is not going to be able to impose the penalty. You're gonna have to go to justice court for that, just like you would for any other civil violation. And then the judge will impose the penalty of $500 a day, depending on what it is you can prove in terms of violations and how long they went and how long they continued. All you're gonna do as a board is say you don't have a permit anymore, or we're suspending it for however long we feel is appropriate. And that's something you're gonna have to build up case by case as to how it is, what actions result in what penalty. What's bad enough that we're gonna just revoke your permit, and what's a technical thing.
What if someone comes in and says, okay, you say I was in violation for 10 days, I say it was 2, how about I pay you 4? We don't have to have it go to the justice court.
It's fine, that's what you wanna do. You will, once you go to justice court, have some ability to, negotiate what the fines are. Now, that does raise an interesting issue, because the criminal fine gets paid into the criminal justice system, and you don't see that money. Whereas if you were to start negotiating payments that were coming directly to the village as opposed to the New York State criminal justice system, you're gonna want a separate provision in there as far as, that type of penalty goes. Civil enforcement is what it's called, in addition to criminal. We could write that in if you like. What it would mean that you would go to
Well, I thought this
Supreme-
whole thing was civil, no?
Penalties are criminal in nature. It's called a civil violation because it's not a misdemeanor or anything like that, but it's still criminal in nature, and you have due process rights to be heard and so forth.
I see, so
But
you would write in then,
That the village would have the right to bring an action in Supreme Court to seek injunctive relief, and that if you brought an action in Supreme Court, you'd be entitled to recover attorney's fees, and you'd be entitled to recover Civil fine, the same amount as a criminal fine, only the village keeps the money if it goes civilly that way, as opposed to going into the criminal justice system.
Board, what do you think?
I have to say, the scenario that Tom presents of someone's charged with violation and they come in and they're staring down the board as far as should they be suspended, should be revoked. If you could at the same time work out, you know, an agreement as to what kind of a civil fine they would pay directly to the village. And the point isn't to make money, the point is to have some sting in your code for violations. And going to justice court's a pain in the keister. I mean, it just is, between getting jurisdiction over people, citing them, showing up at court. If you could kind of do everything one stop and, all right, this is, you know, you're gonna be suspended as opposed to revoked, and this is the fine you're gonna pay, and you take care of it in one night. It's a much more efficient way of administering your code than separating it out and having code enforcement proceedings started. So you may want to consider doing something along those lines.
What about unpaid fines? Is that something that could be re-levied onto taxes? Like unpaid water bills?
Well, no, not really. That's like dangerous, unsafe property proceedings and the like. But if they don't pay their fine, they're not going to get their short-term rental license reinstated. So
Good thought, though.
are you interested in seeing a section like that or not? Or
Yes, I think,
And the process, detailing the process more thoroughly. Would that be in number 5? It seems like it would be in number 5, right?
hang on. Let's see. That's grant of permits. I don't think so.
No, what I mean
No.
by, I'm
The
talking about
missing
the
5.
missing number 5.
This
it
number
talk-
5 is determining, just the village board determines whether or not to grant to suspend or revoke the short-term rental license based on what they hear and the findings they make at the hearing. I think under penalties for offenses, or possibly even a separate section after that, you would put in the civil enforcement proceedings in the alternative. It'll either be blended into 115.13 or there'll be a new 115.14.
Okay.
Well, at least it's all there, you know, it's very, very
Yeah,
clear.
it's clear. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
just when we think we're getting closer.
I know, really.
You're getting closer.
We are,
We'll
we
be
really
down-
are.
How
Down
many-
the line that you were this thorough vetting your law now. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it's the kind of thing that if you don't have problems pop up later, it's always worth the extra time.
Yeah. Are we done?
I believe we are for this part.
Motions? Oh, no, sorry.
Onward, hold on, let me get to.
Public comment?
Public comment, yeah, okay.
Yeah. We're still in the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, motions. Trustee McKnight.
Motion to accept the bid and enter into a contract with Constellation Energy for 100% green power for electrical power supply at the fixed price of 0.08602 per kilowatt hour and authorize the mayor to sign the same. The contract will begin July 1st, 2024 and be for a term of 16 months.
Second discussion, should it be M&H is who the contract is with, not Constellation?
So in the past, I was looking at that, even though M&R
M&R.
is the organization, we're signing a contract with Constellation.
Okay.
So we've always made
Oh,
the
okay.
motion be the actual energy provider.
Okay.
Thank you for
Thanks.
looking at that, yeah. Okay, we have any more discussion? Well, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to advertise and receive bids for the Village of Warwick wastewater treatment plant upgrade project.
Okay.
Second?
I just want to say hallelujah. That's all.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. And it's such a
A lot of
short,
stuff
short
that's gonna
motion
be happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for all that work. So, any other comments? We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
It would have been nice if Barry was here
I
to.
know.
Yes, yeah. We'll do it again for Barry when he's
Yeah. Motion to accept the proposal from Engineering and Surveying Properties to provide professional land surveying services of Wheeler Avenue between Main Street and Cherry Street for the purposes of an engineering design for new sidewalks with a total cost not to exceed $7,850 and authorize the mayor to sign the same. Funds are appropriated in budget code A1440 period 4000.
Second.
And this is part of our HUD application for this coming round. So we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to grant permission to Wickham Works to host an Arts in the Park event in Stanley Deming Park on Friday, July 26, 2024, with rain date of Sunday, July 28, 2024. The event will take place from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. with setup to begin at 4 p.m. and breakdown to be complete by 11 p.m. Request includes use of the band shell, pavilion, and lawn area in between, parking on the field behind the basketball courts, use of loudspeakers, setup of 2 food trucks, and the setup of a portable video projection screen. Request additionally includes use of village-owned chairs, restrooms, water fountains, 2 additional garbage and 2 additional recycling cans to be positioned in the gazebo/pavilion park area, and use of electricity in both the band shell and pavilion. Approval is contingent upon proof of permission from the Warwick Valley Central School District to use the Park Avenue School for parking. Completed park permit, security deposit, and proof of insurance have been received. The Warwick Fire Department, EMS, and Police Department will be notified of the event. Approval is pending proper insurance from all participating vendors.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Motion to grant permission to Boy Scout Troop 45 to use the Veterans Memorial Park Pavilion for a Court of Rewards ceremony and end of the year barbecue on Monday, June 24th, 2024 from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Request includes use of restrooms, electricity, and pavilion lights. Completed park permit and proof of proper insurance have been received.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we have no addendum, amazingly. So reports. Oh, too bad Barry isn't here. Carly, do you have anything for us?
Only that we are, Trustee McKnight is probably going to talk about one of the grants that we're going to be pursuing, and then we'll be writing a grant to help us with some of the implementation of the Veterans Memorial Park plan, and we'll be discussing that with the stakeholder advisory group tomorrow.
Okay, great. Mary?
Yes, I am very excited to report that Old Stories from Warwick's Past is gone to print this week. This was my first project as a trustee. So it's nice that it's near completion. It's been over a year. I've been working with Jean Beatty May, the former village historian. It's about 124 pages, and we're planning on having a book release and signing and reading with Jean Beatty May on July. Oh boy, July. I've been throwing so many dates around. July 12th, which is a Friday. It'll begin in the afternoon. We're still trying to figure out a location, but stay tuned to that. And another exciting announcement, Warwick Cares, along with the Town of Warwick and an anonymous donor, have secured these signs, 9 inches by 9 inches, to go on the street signs at all points throughout the town. That's also very exciting. It's a great way to get the word out and the support, and for people that need it.
How many signs are going to be made? Do you know?
I forget the amount, but quite a bit. It should cover all the entrance ways on both sides of the road.
Okay.
So it's really great. So that's it for me.
Thank you.
Huh?
Yes, so we have a $10,000 clean energy grant that we have to submit this week, use it or lose it. Got a quote from just so anyone watching understands, the decision's been made we have a new pole barn for the DPW coming in. There will be 2 separate office areas. Each one will need some kind of conditioning for that space. So we're going to use a heat pump, kind of like a mini split unit for each of those. It's something we had to do anyway for that new office space. The quote we got was for $18,800 for materials and labor. We'll have a $10,000 grant, so it'll cover more than half of that. I know, Carly, you were hoping to see some money left over for some of the other stuff.
Bike racks.
We'll get back to that.
That'd be nice.
I filled out the application today. We may need a little bit more information from the provider. I sent an email to you
I saw
and
that, yeah.
Mike
Yeah.
about what's the actual, like, what are we actually getting? It was just very generically said. I've asked our partners at Hudson Valley Regional Council if we need anything else other than your signature. So I'm waiting to hear back. If we're good on that, it's I don't know how to do this. It's an Excel spreadsheet. You can drop like a digital signature in there. I don't know how exactly you're gonna
Okay.
sign it, or
Yeah.
unless you print it out and sign it.
Either way, which way, yeah.
And that should be it. So hopefully we'll hear back tomorrow on if we need more information. Then we need that HVAC person to get back to us like,
Yeah, definitely,
ASAP.
yeah. Yeah, they've been really tough, boy. And I know how frustrating you've been with that.
Yeah.
Mike has as well, but,
So the pole barn is coming in August.
yes, it should be up by September.
Wow.
If that's the case, and we can get these heat pumps up and running, that's yet another thing that'll get us to that next grant level, which is the $50,000. I'm trying to do that ahead of time, but if we can get to $50,000, that'll get us even closer to the $100,000 grant, especially with this energy supplier.
And we could use some of that funding for bike rack.
Yes. Yeah. So there will be a lot of. It doesn't have to be all one project, which is a nice thing because there's a number of things that we need. The only restriction is you can't take multiple grants and stack them into
Stack 'em,
one
yeah.
big project.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Also, like, can you use it for like waste stuff? Because I think I talked about this during a previous meeting, like creating garbage cans that are like fun for people to put garbage in. You know, like that are like Big Mouth that says "Feed Me." There's like a bunch of examples. You know, to keep litter down and
That would be under custom projects, and I wonder. I don't know when the grants get larger, they have
like
more like ideas to.
like maybe partnering with the artist
The
community
artist with
again.
them works,
Yeah,
Yeah.
We will cross that bridge when we
Get
come
there,
to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but that's good. Thank you for all the work that you've been doing.
Yeah,
It's
thanks a lot.
Amazing. I only have one thing to really talk about, and that is the New York Forward grant, which has still not been announced by the state, but it will be probably in another month. I have been talking with Mayor Harder and also Jesse Dwyer, and we had a conversation with Millennium. I'm just trying to think. Millennium
Strategies?
Strategies, yes, and their take on it was that to have multiple communities for the New York Forward grant would be difficult, and that we would be better served to achieve our goals if we were to do individual applications.
That's interesting, because didn't we get feedback from the state
Yeah.
that that would be an attractive
They
submittal?
said they wanted us to partner.
Yeah.
Well, so I would think that that would override,
Millennium.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that so Dan and I,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, actually it sort of trickled down, because at one point we were thinking the 3 villages and the hamlet of Pine Island. Greenwood Lake is not in a real position to move on this.
Yeah.
And with the new mayor and with all the issues that they've had with the storms. So it just seemed Pine Island was the odd person out. It was a hamlet, it wasn't a village, it wasn't, the one thing that Florida and Warwick have in common is that we have this major DOT project happening through our villages. And we, I think, are more poised and ready for this type of grant money and leveraging this type of money. But that was what, I mean, Dan and I were all ready, to do a partnership and to move forward with the two, us together on the application. And I think maybe we have to go back to the state and talk to the state, and because Millennial is just, they're just a grant writing company. They have some wisdom, but
Yeah. What about Wickham Woodlands? Because, I mean, that seems like that could potentially be, the town could be a third partner with that, because there's a huge amount of innovation happening there and converting, and there's still a lot of properties there that are just derelict.
right. But they're slated to be done. They've been purchased and there's plans for them to move forward.
All of them? Every aspect?
Every aspect, yeah.
Well, I guess maybe we could just touch base and see if there's anything that
Yeah, I can talk
could
to
be done
Mr.
to,
Dwyer.
yeah.
I think what the way these, or the focus of these grants is revitalization and most importantly, downtown revitalization. So I don't know if Wickham Woodlands would fit that.
Classify, yeah.
I think
it's
they
sort
would be
of
more
trying to
park.
become one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but I think maybe Dan and I will reach out to the state and
Yeah.
see what they have to say
What
about
if-
a joint release.
Could it be connected to like Dial-A-Bus or some kind of connection?
Yes, it could.
Between the communities?
Mhm.
That would be, yeah, maybe that's something to
That was
integrate,
that
'cause
was our
creates a
initial
thread.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'll just keep you posted. This is where it's
Thank you.
going, and both Dan and I are excited about partnering. Their Millennial thought was that should actually be mentioned, or that in terms of if we were both to receive an award, that it would have a greater impact. So, I don't know, we have to straighten it out and figure it out,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I would definitely talk to the state.
Right.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
I can help with the grant once that moves into that.
okay. Yeah,
Space.
there's gonna be a lot of work that we're gonna need to do in a very short window.
So
Okay.
Mayor, one more thing as part of the report, not to embarrass Raina here, but really big progress in the past week that
Oh,
I'm
yes.
gonna take your thunder.
Oh,
from.
yeah,
Yes.
thank you for bringing that
Over
up.
a year ago, Raina really single-handedly wrote this grant for the village to start in this long process of eventually getting decades of records digitized. And it starts with knowing what you have in inventory. That's not a light word. That's 480 cubic feet of paper going back decades that are all different filing systems. And just imagine responding to a FOIL and what that's like. So anyway,
Yeah.
as of this week, right, all of the clerk's and treasurer's office records, 480 cubic feet are inventory, right? That's like a huge first step. The next step in that process would be the building and planning department, is that right? And then we'll be in a better position to apply for more grants to start digitizing these things. But Raina, very impressive job. Thank you for your leadership. I mean, that's a huge thing. So really exciting.
That's
Thank you
exciting.
very much.
And then
Very
during the
excited
next
about
board, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I said I'm very excited for it. It's going to be
Yeah.
good.
And they're
She's
coming
had a
to-
stable
and they're
people
coming to
in
visit.
and out.
They're even coming to visit, yep.
Yeah, they're so impressed with your work.
There is a new ROA for the villages in the state of New York, and the woman who was working as the interim village OA, they wanted to do a site visit. So I'm really excited. They want to see how our project, where we stand with that, and hopefully if we're awarded the building and planning department
Yeah.
grant, they can give us some guidance, but also talk to us about the 2025 application, which would be for, 2026 for an electronic content management system. It'll be a multi-year project, but it'll be great. It'll be wonderful. Our paper records in all departments would actually be ready, because building and planning, we also coupled whatever DPW records, water department, assessor records, are also here in the building and offsite, so.
Oh, and it adheres to the New York State, I guess, the retention policies for how long you need to keep certain documents, which is an extra layer of awesome that we needed. So, really good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And you can move around Village Hall in the back hallways without squeezing by records. I mean, that's
true.
that's always a plus.
Do you want to say anything about the Build-A-Better Mousetrap?
Oh, well, I'm gonna
For
wait
the
till the
next
next
one?
meeting,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Because I want, maybe Mike to be here.
Yeah.
So, we have to go into executive session. I think just to see confidential advice of counsel.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to seek confidential advice of counsel.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mary, would you mind sending me the
We were done. I was very much.
You're welcome.